welcome back to Top of the Line. I'm Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And today we will be talking about what has been going on in the NFL this past week, from the Bills putting on a show, into the remaining undefeated teams, to our picks for Game of the Week, and much more. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Ben, the Buffalo Bills, they put on an absolute show on Sunday against Miami, beating them 41-20. So, how do you think the Bills stopped the undefeated Dolphins this time?
I mean, they game plan. All they did was game plan. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they knew that they were going to be deadly, and their defense showed out. Josh Allen had 5 total touchdowns. Stephon Diggs played amazing. Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen were in sync the whole game, and the defense showed out. So I think they totally deserve that win.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs, he played a major part in the Bills' offense, scoring 3 touchdowns. So, So next, it's trouble in Cincinnati. The Bengals still are just falling in the AFC North. They are, I'm pretty sure, in dead last right now in the North. And so what do you think Joe Burrow and the Bengals can do to get back on track?
I mean, honestly, I really don't know. Joe Burrow has not been the healthiest, and I don't think it was smart for him to play in that game. But even still, he hasn't been producing the way that we thought he would. Jamar Chase, he's been trying, but he's not been great. The defense can't, compete, and I don't think the Bengals are in a great spot right now, and I'd be worried if I was a Bengals fan.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase, he has been open. That's what he's been saying, and Joe Burrow just hasn't been giving him the ball. And, when your number one receiver on the team, when he doesn't get the ball, it's just, it can cause a lot of trouble.
Definitely. I mean, Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the league, and if he's open, he can create separation. You got to give him the ball. And, I mean, Joe Burrow, I don't know what he's thinking in the pocket. Maybe it's the O-line, but he's not producing the way that, we thought he would.
The Bengals offense are one of the bottom 5 in the NFL in points scored this season. So see what they could do to get back on track. But the undefeated teams, 4-0, the 49ers and the Eagles, the Miami Dolphins went to 3-1, but 49ers and the Eagles, it's 2 teams which meet up later in the season. So how do you think that matchup's going to go?
Yeah, that game should be extremely exciting. I mean, both teams are at the top of the NFC right now, especially the 49ers. I mean, they're firing on all cylinders, probably the most balanced team in the league. And, I mean, the Eagles are getting by as well. They should definitely meet not only later in the season, but probably in the playoffs as well.
Christian McCaffrey scored, 4 touchdowns for the 49ers? But, McCaffrey, he's arguably the best running back in the NFL, easily. But,
I mean, I really don't see the argument. I mean, I think you cannot argue against McCaffrey right now. He's arguably a top 10 contender for MVP. He's the clear front runner for Offensive Player of the Year. And, I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now and definitely is a great help to the 49ers.
And with the Eagles, everything is just spot on with them. They have the quarterback. They have the running backs, receivers, defense, all that. But, with Philadelphia heading into this game, they beat them in the NFC Championship game at home. They're at home for this game, which gives them home field advantage. So, the Eagles should have an easier time beating the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to see who wins that game and to see who stays undefeated for longer. But right now, I think those teams are in a great spot.
Well, we'll just have to wait for December 3rd to find out. But the Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers, we go to winful to winless with the Bears and the Panthers. So what do you think with the number 1 overall pick with Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, why they are struggling?
I mean, for the Panthers, as far as Bryce Young goes, I don't think he's playing bad, but I mean, he's been not entirely healthy, and the O-line hasn't been great for him, and he doesn't have very many weapons, so it's just not a great situation for him. And I don't think the Panthers are that great of a team, which is why they're struggling to get a win right now.
with the Panthers, I saw it coming from the preseason because with Bryce Young, he has been sacked many times in the preseason because of his offensive line. And, this season, the offensive line is a little bit better, but not much better. And, with Bryce Young, in order for him to perform the way like people thought he would, you have to have a good O-line.
Definitely. I mean, and it's the same thing with the Bears. I mean, Justin Fields, we thought he was going to be amazing this year, and he played good in the first half against the Broncos, but he just can't. He's not consistent, and it's probably largely because of the O-line, and it's another big reason why they're winless as well.
So now we go to the Sunday night game. Zach Wilson under a lot of pressure heading into this game for the Jets, and he outplays Patrick Mahomes. But the Chiefs still win. So what do you think about that game?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't see Zach Wilson doing as well as he did and Mahomes doing as poorly as he did. Zach Wilson, it was clear that he played amazing, probably one of the best games of his career, and Mahomes is one of the worst games of his career. And I mean, the Jets outcoached the Chiefs as well, but it was just poor ref play that cost them the game.
Yeah, that one defensive holding call in the final 2 minutes of that game that cost the Jets the game. So, all right, time for game of the week. So, Ben, what do you think the game of the week was this week?
I mean, I think there's two that I was deciding between, but I decided to go with the Eagles-Commanders game. I mean, it was a great divisional matchup, and, the rivalry between them, and it went into overtime. The Commanders were able to hang in there against a high-powered offense like the Eagles, but in the end, it just wasn't enough, and it was a great game to watch.
For my game of the week, I'm going to go with the other overtime game, the Rams and the Colts. That game was just so entertaining to watch every second of it, but with Puka Nacua scoring the game-winning touchdown for the Rams as they improved to 2-2.
Yeah, that was definitely the other game that I was, struggling with. Puka Nacua was, he's been insane this whole year. His first touchdown of his career was a game winner in overtime, and once Cooper Kupp comes back, the Rams will be back on track, and I think that was a great game to watch.
All right, so that's going to be it for us today, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, Matt and Noah will be talking about all things college football, so stay right here.
Everyone, and welcome back to Top of the Line. My name is Noah Mueller.
And I'm Matthew Polifonte.
And today we'll be going over a bunch of the latest college football news and what is going on around the country. So without further ado, let's get started. So Matt, Rutgers, besides this past week losing to Michigan, Rutgers has been on a pretty solid streak here.
Yes, I agree.
3-1. So how do you think they've performed so far?
I think they performed pretty good, pretty well, I should say. I think they'll come in clutch and pull it out.
I do think there are a few bumps in the road,
Yeah.
but those are very patchable bumps.
Yeah.
So Texas and quarterback Quinn Ewers have done pretty well ever since beating Alabama, and they're number 3 in the country. How do you think they've performed this season so far?
I think they've performed, not bad, definitely, but I think they've performed pretty good, pretty good. I think they'll have their moment,
Yeah. I think despite losing superstar running back Bijan Robinson in the NFL draft, I think they've really came in through the pressure. They beat Alabama, and they've just been rock solid throughout this whole season so far.
Agreed.
And so the two most dominant teams in college football by far, Georgia and Michigan. Which team do you think, in your opinion, is better?
I think I have Michigan on this one.
I think I do as well. Georgia lost a bunch of key players in the draft. Jalen Carter, Kelly Ringo, Nolan Smith, just to name a few. But
I think Michigan will definitely come over Georgia.
Yeah, Michigan did have a rough playoff last year, losing to TCU. But I think this year's different for them.
Yeah,
I think they'll
definitely
make it out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave just yet. After this break, we'll have more information for you on Top of the Line. So, Matt, Colorado coming into this year with new coach Deion Sanders and transfers such as cornerback and wide receiver Travis Hunter and quarterback Shedeur Sanders. They've really came in as such a dynamic, electric team in this season. How do you think that's fared for them so far?
Well, I think, Deion Sanders is a legend, let's be honest. He's great. I think that's good for them.
Yeah,
I feel like they'll thrive.
yeah, they had a tough break this past week against Oregon, but they can easily pick it up, and
Yeah.
they've been solid all year.
True.
So one loss is, it's human.
It's nothing. I mean,
Yeah. So, Matt, I need to know, who do you think the most dominant offense and defense are in college football? We'll start with offense.
Offense?
Who do you think is the most dominant offense in all of college football?
I don't know. That's tough.
It is.
I mean, everyone's got a pretty decent offense. I mean,
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, what stands out to me is Washington University in quarterback and leading passing yards leader Michael Penix Jr. That offense is unbelievably dynamic so far.
That's good.
Every receiver getting involved.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they do such a good job at meshing everyone in the offense into their game plan.
True.
For their defense, who do you think is the most lockdown defense in all of college football, in your opinion?
All of college football?
Yes.
I mean, I think Michigan has a pretty good defense.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. They have a very, very good defense. Personally, so far, I'd have to agree with you and say Michigan. They've been locked down all year.
Yeah.
I mean, they took down Rutgers with ease, and they've taken down basically every team pretty easily, letting down low points at every single game they've been in so far, no matter who the opponent is.
True.
Yeah. So I feel like they have definitely been just straight lockdown, no jokes.
Yeah.
That's going to be about all for us here on college football. Coming up next, Rocco and I will be talking about WWE, AEW, and all wrestling on top of the line. From so far,
I think they performed pretty good, pretty well, I should say. I mean, I think they'll come in clutch and pull it out.
I do think there are a few bumps in the road,
Yeah.
but those are very patchable bumps.
Yeah.
So Texas and quarterback Quinn Ewers have done pretty well ever since beating Alabama, and they're number 3 in the country. How do you think they've performed this season so far?
I think they've performed, I mean, not bad, definitely, but I think they've performed pretty good, pretty good. I think they'll have their moment,
Yeah. I think despite losing superstar running back Bijan Robinson in the NFL draft, I think they've really came in through the pressure. They beat Alabama, and they've just been rock solid throughout this whole season so far.
Agreed.
And so the two most dominant teams in college football by far, Georgia and Michigan. Which team do you think, in your opinion, is better?
I think I have Michigan on this one.
I think I do as well. Georgia lost a bunch of key players in the draft. Jalen Carter, Kelly Ringo, Nolan Smith, just to name a few. But
I think Michigan will definitely come over Georgia.
Yeah, Michigan did have a rough playoff last year, losing to TCU. But I think this year's different for them.
Yeah,
I think they'll
definitely
make it out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave just yet. After this break, we'll have more information for you on Top of the Line.
Let's dive into Week 5 of the college football season. Let's start on Friday night on the Pac-12, which all of a sudden has become the deepest conference in all of college football. Oregon State knocked off undefeated Utah 21-7 in a rock fight. With already undefeated Oregon, Washington State, and USC in the Pac-12, do you think either of these teams is a serious contender to challenge the Pac-12 title?
Well, Matt, I definitely think USC and Oregon have been on fire recently, knocking off every team in their direction. I mean, Colorado is also a sneaky team in that division, but they haven't really looked competitive since losing star DB and wide receiver Travis Hunter. So even Oregon State's been pretty good. So I truly think USC and Oregon right now have the big upper hand on all of the Pac-12.
Yes, agreed. Moving on Saturday, many of the best teams in college football took care of business. Ole Miss upset LSU at home, giving the Tigers 2 early losses. This probably eliminates them from playoff contention. Elsewhere, USC, Georgia, and Michigan all took care of business on the road. Notre Dame got a good win at Duke, and Texas throttled Kansas at home. Who are you most impressed at this week,
You know,
No.
Matt, definitely my second favorite team, Ole Miss, they definitely did a great job on the offensive side of the ball against LSU. Defensive is a little bit questionable, but nonetheless, they got the big win on the road. I mean, they have just looked very solid since coming into the season, but that's not who I was most impressed by. I was most impressed by USC and the performance put on by star quarterback and projected first overall pick in this year's draft, Caleb Williams. I mean, his 6-touchdown performance coming right in against Colorado, just flaming hot. It was just such an amazing sight to see. I mean, you see an offense mesh in harmony like that, it's just a beautiful sight and a beautiful game to watch against Colorado.
Well, that wraps up action for Week 5. Week 6 has a massive Big 12 in the Red River Showdown. Who do you got, Noah?
Who's in the Red River Showdown again?
Just in Oklahoma.
I think, honestly, I got Texas. They've been steaming hot since the start of the year. I see them to continue rolling.
Well, tune in next time to see how Noah's predictions turn out. Now we send it to Noah and Rocco, who will talk about all things wrestling.
Welcome back to Top of the Line. My name is Noah Mueller,
My name is Rocco Coppola.
and today we'll be talking about WWE, all about AEW and WWE. So without further ado, let's get ready to rumble. So Rocco, this week on Raw, we had Tommaso Ciampa versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. It was a good match, but that wasn't the main point of the night. You had Tommaso Ciampa's former tag team partner in DIY, Johnny Gargano, return. He really didn't get a pop, though, but it was still such a great moment to see him come out finally from injury, since I believe the Elimination Chamber. What did you think of the return?
Here's what I thought about Johnny Gargano's return. I've never been the biggest super fan of Johnny Gargano, but I can't deny it. He's a fantastic worker in the ring, and I really love DIY as a faction. All we need now is an Austin Theory, face turn, and I think that we could really get something going here. The tag team division is lacking right now. Street Profits have not been as hot as we thought they'd be, but we got to change something up on Monday Night Raw because it's not working. The Judgment Day has got a lot of friction, so they need to just Triple H's got to change something, and I think reuniting DIY would be a good idea. Johnny Gargano would have gotten a bigger pop if he came out to his old theme song, but hindsight is that. So you really just need to try and make the fans connect with Johnny Gargano because they're completely out of touch with him.
Yeah, I definitely think this is what Raw needed to propel them. So Rocco, for the past, I want to say few months, we've viewed Tegan Nox as almost a jobber or someone who gets squashed all the time. With this new run from Becky Lynch as the NXT Women's Champion, it seems as if we're finally giving Tegan Nox a push here. What do you think of how she's improved in ring?
I mean, Tegan Nox is always, in my opinion, she's been good in the ring for most of her career, but she's just one of those people that was always lost in the shuffle with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was out of touch as he got older and older, and I don't know. I don't really believe that he's head of creative anymore. I think this is Triple H's company, but Tegan Nox, I like her. I think that she could be a future women's world champ one day, and I wouldn't be shocked if she ended up doing it. Like, Rhea Ripley's run's going to end soon. Who's going to beat her? I don't know. I'm thinking Liv Morgan wins the Rumble and gets her revenge at Mania, but it's really just fantastic to see how Tegan Nox is really starting to get her own little push here. I think she could beat Becky for the title.
Yeah, I think we're finally giving her what she's deserved all this time. Rocco, I think you're going to love this one. LA Knight going into this huge feud and this match at Fastlane against the Bloodline while also getting the John Cena rub in the tag team. Rocco, I feel like this is one of the biggest pushes we've ever seen from a WWE superstar. What is your opinion on it?
LA Knight, everybody's favorite megastar. LA Knight, for a while, there was a realistic scenario where he was going to get fired from the company again. And then Triple H came in and saved the day. And now, what LA Knight is doing, he's doing obviously the best work of his career. He was so good as a heel, they had to turn him to a babyface. He's that type of guy. He has some things to clean up in the ring, but that doesn't even matter because he's not even bad in the ring, and he's awesome on the mic. This match with John Cena, win or lose, as he takes on the Bloodline, or you could say Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, but alas, I really think that LA Knight is set up to be a future main eventer in the near future. I wouldn't be shocked if he wins the world title soon. Like, with LA Knight, you could give him anything, and he could spin it and turn it into something great, much like his tag team partner John Cena did for his entire career. LA Knight is just like that. That's what you love to see, and that's what the company's needing. They've needed a big megastar for years now. And I know LA Knight is up there in age, but he's still in fantastic shape. He's awesome. And wrestlers usually hit their prime in their late 30s, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very good push here from Triple H giving this to LA Knight. So this past Saturday at NXT No Mercy, which I must say was an amazing premium live event, they finally took the belt off of Carmelo Hayes, the NXT Championship, and they put it on none other than the best in-ring wrestler in all of wrestling right now and the most intense man in all of WWE, Ilya Dragunov. He has just put on 5-star classics for so long now. And I know the way you're looking at me because I said he's the best in-ring performer, but I feel as if he's really just done great with every opportunity he's been given. What do you think of how Ilya Dragunov's performed in the last couple of months?
The best wrestler in the world. That's
Yes.
what we're going now.
Yes.
Okay, that's a topic for another day. But Ilya Dragunov, I think, is awesome. He, in my opinion, top 5 in the world in terms of in-ring ability. And I don't think there was any other guy that could have taken the belt off of Carmelo Hayes that was perfect for it than Ilya Dragunov. I think it's time for Melo to go to the main roster. I think he's going to thrive there. I think Braun Breaker and Melo should go up there soon. One could go to SmackDown, one could go to Raw for all we care. For all I care, rather. But Carmelo Hayes, I think it's his time. I think that WWE could build another megastar with Melo, and even Braun, too, if he cleans up a few things on the mic. But Ilya Dragunov, I think once he eventually gets to the main roster, once this title reign ends, he's going to be... I think it's just going to be a matter of time before he main events a big pay-per-view.
Yeah, and a little bit of an announcement here for anyone who didn't watch NXT last night. Next week, we are getting Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker with John Cena in the corner of Carmelo Hayes and Paul Heyman in the corner of Braun Breaker. Shifting gears a little bit here to All Elite Wrestling, Rocco, this past Sunday at Wrestle Dream, Swerve Strickland, it seems as if he's finally getting the push he's deserved ever since he's been in Hit Row. He really carried that faction, and he is just a star now in AEW, no matter what. Rocco, what is your opinion on Swerve Strickland now?
I mean, you see what Hit Row looks like now without Swerve Strickland, and Swerve should have been in this position ever since he was in WWE to begin with. There's a reason why Hit Row doesn't hit the same, no pun intended, without Swerve. He's the leader of that group. He's the alpha male. And I'm being honest, if Swerve was still in WWE right now, Top Dollar's probably still in the WWE and not released. But Swerve, I think it's awesome that he's in the main event scene. I think he's a candidate to beat MJF for the title, and I wouldn't be opposed for it. MJF's doing fantastic work. I think he could be in WWE in a few months from now. Which, will that happen? I don't know for sure. Do I think it's going to happen? Yeah. But, Swerve, I love him. He's awesome. He's good in the ring and he's good on the mic. He's got that type of charisma that reminds me of Carmelo Hayes a little bit. But I think that now it's finally, he deserves it, and it's one of the few things Tony Khan's getting right.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like his win against Hangman Adam Page it's definitely not a joke to beat a main event player like that. That is all we have for you today on wrestling. But don't leave just yet, because coming up next is Marco and Andrew talking about the Premier League on Top of the Line.
Hello, I'm Marco Baldino.
And I am Andrew Mirzaaghasi.
And we will be covering Game Week 7 of the Premier League.
So Premier League Week 7, we have 8 victories and 1 tie.
So starting off with Manchester City and Wolves. Wolves stuns Manchester City and ends their winning streak. And the Wolves beat them 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. That is pretty interesting, because they had a winning streak before, and now that winning streak is now gone, sadly. And the own goal was devastating, because I didn't think that would actually happen. Own goals have happened a lot this week.
Yeah, and Juan Hee-Chang scores the winning goal for Wolves. But most of the game, Manchester City had most of possession, like way more possession. It's just the Wolves' defense kept shutting them down and locking them up.
Yeah, it showed in this game that they would have, the Manchester City would have a lot of ball possession, and then the Wolves' defense was like a brick wall, and they couldn't really do anything about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, Manchester City had their chances. They did score a free kick goal, but couldn't get much else. The center backs were really blocking a lot of the shots and like just clearing the ball.
Yeah.
And now we move to Tottenham versus Liverpool.
All right, so with this game, we would have a own goal that would actually cost the game. So there are also 2 red cards as well. We would have Jones, which accidentally put his foot on another player, which cost him the red card. And then we have Jota, which had a yellow card before. He gets another yellow card, and it becomes a red card.
So for the first red card, Curtis Jones, you could go look back at the replay. I feel like VAR got this wrong. He went with his studs down, but like his foot rolled on the ball, and then ended up his studs hit the other player's foot, which I think is completely accidental. I don't think it should be a straight red card.
Yeah, I also thought it was pretty accidental because for me, it's common when I play soccer that I try kicking the ball and accidentally hit someone's foot. So I would probably see the same situation here.
Yeah. But Tottenham beat Liverpool. It's a costly loss for Liverpool, but it's a good win for Tottenham.
Yeah. Then we have Aston Villa versus Brighton, which is 6-1 with an Aston Villa victory, with this being the most goals this week scored.
Yeah, I'm surprised Aston Villa beat Brighton. Brighton were in third place, pretty sure, and Aston Villa beat them 6-1. It was just, what happened in that game? I don't get what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either, but it was a clear sweep for Aston Villa. So I thought it was impressive because I didn't actually expect this outcome to happen.
All right, in the standings for this week so far, Manchester City still in first place with 18 points. Tottenham and Arsenal, the rival teams, tied with 17 points. Liverpool with 16 points. And Aston Villa and Brighton, 15 points.
Yeah, we could still see that Manchester is still on top, of course, and we have the other team still leading. So we never know, but so far
We'll see how Manchester City returns.
Yeah. So that's all for today's episode on Top of the Line. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time.